Okay, so we're gonna start doing the hands experience at the end of the introduction of Palo. It's an art exploration for teachers. It starts on page 9, but I'm going to lead you through it. I think sometimes having someone else do it, it might make you take a little bit longer when you're maybe impulsive. Your reflex is to go faster and just be like, oh, it's all I thought of. So when we're doing a reflection, generally you want to I tell people to try to write for 3 minutes or to try to write and not stop. I usually put my timer on. I'm not going to do that right now. Um, and I just try to write off the top of my head and not overthink it. It's not on grammar. You're not typing this. It's really to just go through the process of thinking about what Ann Palo wants us to think about. All right. So I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. All right, so we're going to begin by looking. And this, believe me, I'm sitting in a room by myself. So if you think you feel funny, I feel a little funny. So hopefully you read in the directions and content that I wanted you to get paper, pencil, probably something to add color. People can, I think I use pastels. You could use markers. You could use colored pencils, anything, but we're going to add color later. So she wants you to look at your hands. So she says, begin by looking, palm reading, sign language, waving, peekaboo, blowing kisses, high five. All these things we do with our hands all the time. All right. So we're going to look at our hands, trace their outer shape, feel their shape. My hands are looking kind of old and wrinkly. Brush your fingertips over one hand, over your extended fingers. Notice the rough spots, the smooth spots, the cracks and the bumps. Look at your wrists, how they join the arm and hand. Look at your fingertips at the sides of your hands. What do you think that means? Look at the fingertips. Is it like this? I don't know. Just look at the back of your hand as the tiny crisscrossing lines at the patterns and textures that those lines create. Look at your joints, your knuckles, flex a finger, watch the skin loosen and tighten. Spend time with your fingernail. No, thank you. Some of you have nicer nails. Your cuticle. Look at the palm of your hand and notice how the lines are different from the lines on the back of your hand. Explore the lines on the palm side of your knuckles. Okay. As you bend and straighten your finger. Notice how they are similar to and different from the lines on the back side of your knuckles. And then Anne says, our hands are miracles. Look at your hands to see their stories. Give yourself time to consider these questions. Why isn't it going? Yo, come on. Okay. So now this is where we're going to start to do our reflection. And these are the questions that she asks you. And we're thinking about our hands and the stories they hold. What knowledge do your hands hold? What scars do they carry? When have you raised your hands in joy? When have you clenched them in anger? And who have your hands touched in anger, in tenderness, in longing, in love? What questions are your hands asking right now in your life? I want you to, you can stop the video and write about these. I would say write about a couple, write about all of them. Some of you are very concise, so maybe you need to write about all of them. But if you really kind of get going on one or two of them and you take 3 to 5 minutes, then I think you'll be good. Let's see. My hands hold a lot of knowledge. The ache in my hands tells me I hold my phone too much. I am on my computer doing work for too long, and when I weed it, it's hard to grasp and pull weeds. Sometimes I cannot open cans or bottles. I think I should be able to. I have scars from I was very literal. I have scars from carpal tunnel surgery. I've raised my hands in joy, outside when I weed, when a child accomplishes something, when I'm listening to music sometimes, like worship music, or just outside when it's like a song and it's like, the sun. Anger, probably should clench more often rather than the middle finger. Let's see. My dogs, petting them, patting them to calm down at night. My children. What are my hands asking me now? Start writing. Okay. After you've finished that, we're going to start looking at our hands. Well, we're going to go from looking to actually drawing our hands, and Palo calls this contour drawing. So set a sheet of paper on a sturdy drawing surface. I would call that a table or a tray, and have your pen ready or pencil. I think I used charcoal pencils for this. And while you're looking at your hands, you're going to do a contour drawing. And what that means is you're not literally trying to draw exactly, you know, the contour is the outside edge. So the way she writes this, she says, now focus. I put my hands, I think, like this or something. Well, kind of almost like a still life, but of your hands. Focus your eyes at a point on the outside edge of your hand. At the same time, set your pen down or pencil on the paper, but keep your eyes on the hand. So when you're drawing it on the paper, you're not trying to, you're not looking at the paper, you're trying to draw the contour edge. Let your eyes slowly follow the outer edge of your hand as your pen draws what your eyes see, but don't look at your drawing, only at your hand, and try to do that. And then Anne says, guess what? Your drawing probably doesn't look like your hand. So when I did this, I believe first I traced my hand. I don't know if you can see this here. It doesn't look like you can. I might have to share it later. I traced my hand to sort of see how big it was. And then I have a little section where it was like you can really just see my pointer, my middle, and my thumb. Kind of like from this angle almost, it looks like. I don't know. And it doesn't look like a hand. It barely looks like three fingers. And so try to do that. And this is not in color. This is just a sketch of the contour drawing. I can try to stop sharing. We'll see. This will probably mess up my recording. All right, just to show you, I think it'll be easier to see. Let's see. Yeah. So that was my tracing. And I don't know, I tried to do the knuckles. But this was really my contour edge. You could just see like this outer edge, the way I had my hand. Um, right there. This part doesn't usually take a lot of time, although some people who maybe have more talent or, okay, we didn't just say that, more are into spending more time on the detail, may have spent more time. Let me see if I can go back to my thing again. Let's see. All right. Go to the next page. I think my internet is not that great because it keeps not wanting to go to the next page. It's trying to stress me out. Chameleon. Maybe now? Nope. Hmm. Now it's giving you more time to do this. Oh, here we go. Now, once you've done the contour drawing and you're looking at it, you're supposed to make a list of the things that your drawing evokes. Like, what does it make you think of? Um, So that can be anything, right? What does it make you think of? Let's see. Look at your drawing with fresh eyes and see what images it calls forth. What does your drawing remind you of? Make a list of these things. Let's see. I don't see that I did this one. Let's see if I can find. Okay, so I wrote just now. I'm looking to see if I did this somewhere else. It doesn't look to me like it. Don't think it did. So I just wrote that I think they kind of look like Cheetos, honestly. Or you know those things at Halloween, some kind of candy that looks like the thing. I don't know. But I also wrote a road or a path, barrier, like the nails look like a barrier, kind of the way I drew them. And then my sentence is very boring, but in my opinion. And it says a road has many bumps and crevices. It is not always I can't remember. It is not always some smooth or a straight line. It is evolving. And then it says, look at your hand again. I don't know if that makes me think about my hands any differently. Although I could see it, like if when you're up close, like, okay, there's the mountains. I'm also constantly sitting here thinking, what would a palm reader say? Anyway, I'll look forward to seeing what you guys come up with. All right. Now, the next part of this has to do with communicating with color. We're going to step away from our drawings a little bit, kind of reflect on how color um, kind of communicates with us. So the first part is to write next to each emotion what colors you associate with these emotions. You can just write a word, a color next to it. You don't have to write it in sentences, but you want to make sure you put number 4 in the thing you're going to turn in. And this is an interesting one in class to see what people come up with. It's usually a little bit all over the place. Different people have different colors that they think of. So what color do you associate with courage? Curiosity, determination, fear, frustration, inadequacy. Hmm. what color I think about in terms of inadequacy. Okay, so hopefully you put down some colors. I'm not going to tell you mine because I want you to not change yours and just turn it in. All right. So the next thing, there's a bunch of options. You're going to choose three and you're going to reflect on them in writing. Um, Generally, you want a journal writing to be like 500 words. So this isn't the time to be really concise. It's writing off the top of your head, okay? So let me read to you the questions. You can choose three of these. You could write more. If you wrote a lot, you could probably get away with writing less or doing less. So, do you typically want to get a challenge over with quickly, or do you want to delve into its depth? How would you capture that with color, with shape, and texture? Do you try to stave off challenge, or do you intentionally invite it into your life? How would you capture that with color, with shape, with movement, with texture? Does challenge make your heart race because you dread it, because it energizes you? How do you navigate the times when you feel stuck, when you feel off balance? Do you seek out other people or shoulder through challenge on your own? Does challenge inspire thoughts of new possibilities or of unwelcome changes? Those are pretty big questions. So you can stop this video and choose your three. Um, Make sure whichever ones you choose that you answer each part of the questions that are there. Like this is trying to get you to think about how you would represent it or capture that in like an illustration, right? So you don't want to just do the first part and then not really talk about the color or the shape or the texture. These are kind of complex questions. Um, okay, so choose three. All right, so now the next part is to add color to your sketch. Some people were like, I think I did a new sketch because I was like, I don't know. I could have used my tracing, which would kind of probably be cheating, but I did do knuckles and stuff, but I didn't do that. And then I could have just used the little sketch I had on the corner here. What I actually ended up doing was, so how can you use color, shape, and movement to tell the story of how your hands deal with challenge? How do your hands deal with challenge represented on paper? So mine does not, I'm not going to qualify, but this is the sketch, okay? And when I did this in class, they said it looked kind of like the Virgin Mary or Guadalupe, you know? Um, but in my mind, I was like, to the hand. That's how I said, that's how I do challenge. I'm not sure now what I'm thinking. Say it to the hand. Because I do take on challenges, so I'm not sure what I was getting at there. But the idea that then my representation does remind me of my Guadalupe. Let me grab it. I'll show it to you. I really like this image. My when my daughter passed away, someone told me that the Blessed Mother takes care of all the babies that die too young. And so Guadalupe, I think, is someone that I kind of found a lot of comfort in. And I'll show you this again. So you can kind of see like it looks kind of like the outside of it. I mean, this does not so much, but whatever. Um, But a certain, like, for me, when I'm dealing with a challenge, I like to feel like what I'm gonna do is aligned with who I want to be. And so spiritually, that makes sense to me. So then um, there is one more journal, which I realized after I wrote that last bullet point, you can stop the power of the video and then do your sketch, make sure it has color. And then the final video, the final reflection is kind of, and this is, I think, a better, sometimes this is easier when you're in class because people like are more cognizant, I think, of what was bothering them or what they were, but maybe not. Maybe you'll find it easy. So again, I think you can choose a couple of these, or if it's easier to just answer them all, because some of you are like very concise. So as you move from looking to drawing to writing to creating, did the way you see your hands change? Which of the experiences was most engaging for you? Looking, contour drawing, writing, or using color? Which was the most challenging? What can you learn about yourself from this? Did anything about this experience surprise you, leave you wanting more? When did you hold back and when did you stretch yourself or take a risk? And how does your art exploration, probably the last question is the biggest, how does your art exploration relate to your work with children? Okay. Once you've done all those reflections and all the different steps, then you can submit the photos. I wouldn't take time to type it. I would really just submit the sketches and the journals. I did my sketches right on my sketch pad in between the sketches. That's fine too. This just make sure you did more than just like one word things when we're supposed to be doing reflections, okay? Thank you for playing. I'm gonna stop sharing.